Attention, Lions fans! Let's get to today's update, and I guarantee you it's crucial to stay until the end to not miss any important details. Marcus Davenport could end up being the team's biggest mistake in 2025. After a nearly invisible season, marred by injuries, the pass rusher returned to Detroit surrounded by doubts and is already seen by many analysts as the main candidate to fail in this decisive season. And it doesn't stop there. ESPN has just predicted a significant drop in running back Jahmyr Gibbs' touchdowns this year. And the reason may surprise you. Brian Branch, voted the second best safety in the NFL by executives, scouts, and coaches, has many in Detroit wondering if he's overtaken Kirby Joseph as the Lions secondary's anchor. A name that was previously under the radar, Mitchell Agude, had an impressive offseason and now appears as a potential surprise that could secure a spot on the main roster during training camp. Meanwhile, Jameson Williams' future with the team is still uncertain, and rumors about a possible non-renewal are already gathering momentum behind the scenes. Finally, the Lions' defense may have finally found a solution to its biggest weakness. The secondary, plagued by injuries and lack of depth, has been bolstered with the arrival of Avonte Maddox, an experienced and versatile player who promises to transform things in 2025. But before diving into all this news, like the channel to support it and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, let's get to the point. His name is embedded in the center of one of the Lions' biggest defensive unknowns for 2025, Marcus Davenport. The pass rusher, brought back by Detroit after a near-phantom season, is already being singled out by analysts as the team's biggest potential failure this year. And the analysis isn't coming from just anywhere. Christopher Knox, a respected Bleacher Report columnist, made a stark prediction. Davenport could be a major disappointment in a season where the margin for error is slim. The issue isn't just talent, it's availability. Davenport started just 2 games last year, registering a measly half-sack before suffering a serious triceps injury. For a player expected to be the elite partner alongside Aiden Hutchinson, this production sounds alarming. Since 2021, Davenport hasn't surpassed a 5-sack mark in a single season, and in 4 of his 7 NFL seasons, he hasn't even recorded more than 2. The lack of consistency in quarterback pressure, coupled with a worrying injury history, he's only played 6 games in the last 2 seasons, has raised red flags in Detroit. Even more so now after the departure of Zadarius Smith, which has left a huge void in the defensive rotation. With this absence, the weight of responsibility has fallen squarely on Davenport's shoulders, almost forcibly transforming him into an essential part of the Lions' defensive scheme. But does he have the physique, focus, and stamina to handle this mission? The truth is, the Lions are betting big on Russian roulette. If Marcus Davenport can stay healthy and finally live up to the expectations that have surrounded him since the beginning of his career, Detroit could benefit enormously. But recent history doesn't inspire confidence. Lions fans know it, analysts know it, and opponents know it too. Every snap Davenport plays will be scrutinized. Every play, a test. And if he fails, the consequences could be dire both for the player and for the defensive unit that relies on his impact on the pass rush. In a year of sky-high expectations, the Lions don't have room for another gamble that doesn't pay off. If you think Davenport will silence the critics or become another name in a long list of failed gambles, comment below. Brace yourself for a reality that may disappoint many Lions fans. According to a detailed analysis by ESPN, touchdown machine Jahmyr Gibbs may be about to take a step back in 2025. After a stunning 2024 season, where he threw 20 touchdowns, most in franchise history in a single season predictions now indicate that number will drop to 14 TDs next year. And the reason is technical. Although Gibbs proved to be a nightmare for opposing defenses with his explosiveness and efficiency, 5.65 yards per carry, much of his touchdowns came in specific situations, especially inside the 5-yard line, territory where he, surprisingly, wasn't the main man on the field. David Montgomery, his backfield partner, had more opportunities in this critical space, with 17 carries inside the 5-yard line, compared to just 11 for Gibbs. This raises the question, was the 2024 record an exception or the new norm? Even with a drop in projected statistics, Gibbs' impact shouldn't be underestimated. ESPN's Mike Clay's analysis highlights that the 2024 touchdown number far exceeded expectations. The projected number was 13.2 TDs, meaning Gibbs exceeded the metric by nearly 7 touchdowns. In other words, he performed exceptionally well. Repeating this would be so rare that if he were to achieve another 2-0 TD season, he would become only the 6th player in NFL history to achieve that feat twice. With the Lions' offense increasingly diverse and brimming with weapons like Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Sam Laporta, and Montgomery himself, it's natural to imagine that the ball will be distributed more, diluting Gibbs' opportunities in the red zone. This doesn't mean he'll be less important, but rather that his role may evolve, becoming more strategic and explosive. Still, optimism regarding Gibbs' overall impact remains high. His versatility as a hybrid of runner and receiver makes him one of the toughest players to guard in the entire NFC, and even if his touchdowns decline, his importance to Detroit's offensive scheme is unquestionable. The coaching staff, led by Ben Johnson, recognizes the value Gibbs brings to the offense, whether it's opening up space for others, unbalancing defenses with his speed, or simply offering a constant threat that forces tactical adjustments from opponents. On a team looking not only to repeat, but surpass their 2024 success, Gibbs remains one of the keys to the plan. His touchdown numbers may even decline, but the impact of Gibbs' presence on the field remains colossal. After all, players of his caliber don't need to get into the end zone every time to change the game. If you think Gibbs will repeat his 20 touchdowns or surpass projections, comment below. And of course, if you enjoyed this analysis, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any Lions updates. Brian Branch is recognized as the Detroit Lions' best safety by the NFL Elite, and the internal competition is just beginning. Brian Branch has just achieved something no other player in the Lions' secondary has achieved in recent years: near unanimous recognition as one of the NFL's best safeties. According to ESPN's latest rankings, compiled based on votes from league executives, scouts, and coaches, Branch appears as the second best safety in the NFL, even surpassing his teammate Kirby Joseph, who had been the star at the position in 2024. The ranking raises a new debate within Detroit. Has Branch become the true no one name in this secondary? Or are we witnessing the rise of one of the league's most dangerous duos? Branch's selection among the leaders at the position came with powerful praise from NFL insiders. One AFC executive put it bluntly, stating, "I love Branch for his instincts and versatility. He's been asked to do a lot in 2 years in Detroit, and he's delivered." Indeed, the former Alabama player's trajectory has been marked by rapid growth, and his ability to handle complex responsibilities in Aaron Glenn's scheme. Initially playing nickel corner, Branch was moved to safety in 2024, where his football IQ shone. According to scouts, his route reading and recognition of passing concepts compensate for even his lack of raw speed, keeping him consistently close to the ball and creating turnover opportunities. But while Brian Branch is now the most frequently mentioned name as the Lions' best safety, the path taken by Kirby Joseph cannot be overlooked. After being completely overlooked in ESPN's 2023 rankings too, the point that someone close to him called the network to question his exclusion, Joseph delivered the loudest response possible. He led the NFL in interceptions with 9 steals and was named to the first-team All-Pro. His ability to turn turnovers into game-changing plays has been praised as instinctive and unteachable, according to an NFC scout who further emphasized, he knows how to take calculated risks, and he does so without compromising the structure of the defense. It's the kind of asset any defensive coordinator dreams of having, and the Lions have 2 of those players working alongside each other. the question now looming large within the NFL community, and especially among Lions fans, is who is the true pillar of Detroit's secondary? Brian Branch has the consistency, tactical intelligence, and now the backing of the experts. Joseph, on the other hand, has the visible production, the numbers, and the ability to change the course of a game in a single play. The truth may lie somewhere in between or at the top of the NFL rankings, where the two are establishing themselves as one of the most feared and respected duos in the league. What seems undeniable is that the Lions have something rare on their hands. Two elite young safeties with complementary styles who are just beginning to explore their full potential. While the debate continues behind the scenes in the NFL in Detroit, what we're seeing is an increasingly solid defense, led by a secondary that has finally found not only consistency, but also true stars. And best of all, both are still far from reaching the peak of their careers. The edge rusher position was one of the most discussed topics in Detroit throughout the offseason, but curiously, little real action was taken to bolster it. While fans clamored for major moves, the Lions remained calm, signaling confidence in the names already on the roster. Aside from the discreet addition of rookie Ahmed Hassanian in the 6th round of the 2025 draft, there were no major acquisitions or splashy signings. Still, General Manager Brad Holmes maintained a firm stance. The team believes in the talent it has in-house, and perhaps he's right. Amid all these doubts, a name that had been largely ignored may end up surprising. Mitchell Agude, who arrived underappreciated and largely out of the spotlight, had such a solid offseason that he's now starting to be seen as one of the biggest silent bets for training camp. Agude seems to have grasped the moment like few others. He used the time off the field to transform his physique, work on his technique, and most importantly, seek knowledge from those who truly understand the subject. He wasn't just training on his own, he was one of the few invited to participate in the Sack Summit, an exclusive gathering that brings together some of the NFL's best edge rushers, such as Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, Von Miller, Cam Jordan, Trey Hendrickson, and Myles Garrett. This opportunity isn't given to just anyone, and the fact that Agude was included in this group shows how much his potential is beginning to be recognized within the league. He focused on crucial aspects such as explosiveness, reading the game, agility around blockers, and hand technique fundamentals that can completely transform an edge rusher's performance when applied accurately. Agude's journey thus far is a story of overcoming challenges in itself. He entered the NFL in 2023 as an undrafted rookie with the Dolphins, but didn't make the final roster and was released before the season even started. However, the Lions saw something in him, something Miami failed to capitalize on, and signed him to the practice squad. In his first year, he didn't play a single game, but internal reports from Allen Park indicated that the player was attracting attention behind the scenes. In 2024, the team retained him, and that's when the transformation began. Over the summer, Agude finally showed flashes of what he could offer. He earned a spot on the practice squad, was briefly promoted to the first team, and in 3 regular season games, he produced a decisive moment by forcing a crucial fumble against the Bears in Week 16, a play that, for many, was his calling card. Now, in 2025, a real opportunity is on the table. With an off-season marked by dedication, learning from the best, and visible technical improvement, Mitchell Agude has everything he needs to earn his permanent spot on the 53-man roster. The Detroit Lions may very well have found a forgotten gem that was hidden in-house all along. And if that prediction comes true, he won't just be another name on the roster. He could become a real piece of the defensive rotation alongside Aiden Hutchinson and company. From now on, all eyes will be on training camp, and Agude is definitely a name you should keep on your radar. Because sometimes, amidst the noise and anticipation, those who arrive quietly are the ones who do the most damage. Jameson Williams' name has returned to the NFL spotlight, not because of a major play, but because of growing uncertainty surrounding his future with the Detroit Lions. Even after a breakthrough season in 2023, where he recorded 58 receptions, 1,001 yards, and 7 touchdowns. The wide receiver has yet to secure a long-term contract with the franchise. The team opted to activate his 5th-year option, which guarantees his presence through 2026. But so far, there has been no sign of a solid contract extension. And this, according to The Athletic's Colton Ponkey, could be a worrying sign. His analysis raises a hypothesis few in Detroit want to hear. Will Williams be traded in 2026 if the Lions and the player can't reach a viable financial agreement? All of this becomes even more relevant when we consider Jameson's track record. His time in Detroit has been a veritable roller coaster ride thus far. 2 heavy suspensions, one for sports betting and another for prohibited substances, plus a firearms incident that was dismissed, put his name under constant scrutiny. But the turning point came last season when he finally showed his true potential on the field. The Lions' explosive offense found him a dangerous weapon with deep rotations and elite speed. The result? An increasingly important role in Dan Campbell's scheme. And he wasn't the only one who expressed confidence in the player. Offensive coordinator John Morton was also optimistic, stating that Williams is ready for an even bigger leap in 2025. However, praise doesn't pay salaries and the Lions' cap is increasingly tight. This is the real impasse. The Lions already have significant financial commitments. Amon-Ra St. Brown, with his 4-year, $120 million extension, already takes up a significant portion of the payroll. Not to mention the multi-million-dollar contracts of Penei Sewell, Jared Goff, and Kirby Joseph, who are also among the team's pillars for the coming years. In other words, adding another massive contract could compromise the team's flexibility in the medium term. Ponkey warns that if Williams continues to play at a high level, it will be impossible to prevent other franchises from entering the fray with aggressive offers starting in 2026. What if the numbers don't match between the player and the team? A trade before the end of the contract may be the only way for the Lions to avoid leaving. Empty-handed time is still on the Detroit Lions side, but the pressure is growing by the week, with the possibility of another great season from Jameson. Williams in 2025. The front office will face a strategic decision: pay now and secure the talent, or risk losing one of the most explosive pieces on the roster. Fans, of course, hope Williams is part of Detroit's future, but the reality of the NFL is cruel and based on numbers, both on and off the field. And be careful, if the Lions truly can't keep Williams long term, one name to keep on fans' radar is T. Higgins. The Bengals wide receiver will be a free agent in 2025, and if he hits the market, could be an interesting target to fill a potential void in Detroit's wide receiver cores. The Lions may have finally addressed their biggest weakness, and the answer came with a nearly silent off-season addition. For years, the Lions secondary has been the team's Achilles heel, a unit marked by a constant lack of depth and injuries. At crucial moments, last season exposed this problem brutally, especially in the playoffs against the Washington Commanders. After a dominant performance against Justin Jefferson in the previous round, Amik Robertson was injured, and without him, the defensive group crumbled. The lack of reliable alternatives revealed a vulnerability that has long plagued Detroit. When a key player in the secondary is injured, the entire system collapses. The franchise knows it. The fans know it. And the front office, finally, seems to have reacted. Lions insider Tim Twentyman has brought to light a name that could not only fill this void, but also transform the team's defensive mindset. Avonne Maddox, a quiet signing from the Philadelphia Eagles, arrives to be a pillar of security literally. With experience in multiple secondary roles, Maddox can play nickel corner and safety, offering tactical flexibility to Aaron Glenn. Even though he arrives as a backup on paper, his presence on the field can mean the difference between a defense that collapses under pressure and one that survives and thrives in moments of greatest tension. Maddox boasts a remarkable 2021 season when he recorded 73 tackles and 2 forced fumbles. And even in a more subdued 2024 season, he tallied 20 tackles and 5 pass breakups under head coach Christian Parker in Philadelphia. At 28, he has the experience and physique to be the kind of piece that fits in quietly but transforms the machine. 20man's expectations are clear. He sees a group that, for the first time in a long time, combines explosive youth with stable experience. DJ Reed, Terrion Arnold, and Ahmed Robertson will form the starting lineup. But with Maddox and other backups, the Lions finally have enough depth to avoid injury panic. The insider's comment makes it clear that the plan isn't just to survive, but to evolve. It's a veteran group with versatility and experience. It's one of the position groups I expect to see big gains in 2025. If the unit fulfills its potential, Detroit will no longer be held hostage by its defensive lapses in the playoffs. The addition of Maddox, while not generating headlines this offseason, could prove to be one of the team's most important moves in its quest for another conference final, or something bigger. And if the plan still seems incomplete, 2025 could bring more reinforcements. One name attracting attention among next season's free agents is L'Jarius Sneed, a cornerback who's shown for the Tennessee Titans after leaving the Kansas City Chiefs. With a history of dominant playoff performances, Sneed would be a solid addition. With a winning pedigree to take this secondary to an even higher level should the front office decide to go all out. Leave your thoughts in the comments and give us a like until the next update.